Trojans. A lot of questions going into South Bend, and USC gets throttled 48-20, which leads to many more questions as USC opens up the second half of their very challenging schedule. We'll get into it on the next episode of Trojans Talk on Tap.
Go Trojans go, LBC pouring Cardinal and gold. The next man up is the next Heisman. Only bleed USC, yes we've been built to win. Catch roses while we ball all across the map. Too strong, fight on, it's Trojan Talk on Tap.
Very thankful to have a special guest join us. We got Pat Pohlen, former offensive lineman from the Notre Dame 1973 National Championship team. Trojans, if you did see your video last week, Pat joined us from Costa Mesa, the Sunset 17 studios. Pat, glad to have you back. You were at the game to celebrate the 50th anniversary, and something tells me you and your teammates were doing a lot of celebrating Saturday night in South Bend. Thanks for joining us.
LBC, great to be back. Yeah, it was a fun weekend. I'm not sure I've ever had more fun in 3 or 4 days.
Well, you know what? I think it was fantastic. You were out there. I was watching the broadcast. They had a lot of the former Notre Dame stars there, as you know. Joe Montana, they showed on camera, and Jerome Bettis, Tim Brown, all the stars, all Notre Dame stars are there for the big game. We'll get into the game, but how was your trip?
The trip was outstanding. We dodged the weather, got in a round of golf on Friday morning without any rain. A little cool, a little breezy, but didn't have any rain. Around 2 or 3 o'clock on Saturday, it stopped raining, and it was pretty pleasant during the game. And we caught a little rain on the way back to O'Hare. But other than that, we couldn't have had a better time. And I gotta put a plug in for the Notre Dame, whoever runs the Notre Dame Stadium experience. I mean, the audio and visual of being at a night game there was just tremendous. I mean, I just was blown away by what happens during a game, as far as the music, the lights, the huge new scoreboard we have is just outstanding. It was really a fun place to be.
Well, it's great. I'm glad you enjoyed the game experience and got to catch up with some of your former teammates and celebrate your 50-year anniversary of the 1973 national champion Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Now let's get into the game. I call this Trojans Talk episode 13. USC's number 13 in Trojans a bust in South Bend. And this was, there's some questions going into the game. And specifically, I had questions about our offensive line. And we discussed this last Tuesday when you joined me on Trojans Talk on Tap. And I had questions why USC didn't run the ball against Colorado, who at that point had given up 200 plus yards a game to 3 of their 4 opponents. Then you come home to the Coliseum to play Arizona, and they didn't really establish the run game. So wondering why Lincoln Riley, with his play calling, wouldn't help out his defense by running the ball, eating clock, time management, giving the defense or giving the other team's offense fewer possessions and less time to score. So maybe the question is maybe he knew or he knows there's issues on the offensive line, bringing 3 transfers to supplement or to refresh this offensive line, and they moved Justin Diedish from guard to center. And Justin Diedish has had some issues hiking the ball with high snaps, which can take out chemistry and rhythm. You being a former offensive lineman, what did you see was perhaps USC's biggest issue in South Bend?
Well, let's go back. If you think you guys had issues, look what happened to us the game before we played SC against Louisville. Heck, we didn't know if we had an offense. We didn't know if we had a defense. There wasn't anything we could hang our hat on. So if there was an improvement, if there was an adjustment, it was with that defensive line and the defensive coordinator making the adjustments to Caleb Williams and his style of play. Unfortunately, they got off to a kind of a tough start there when they had one intercepted early in the game, and then we plunged one in. All of a sudden, all right, you're down 7-0. But overall, the amount of pressure put on Caleb Williams was 6 sacks and countless hurries, and didn't let him get out of the box very often. I thought was the main difference in this game. And when he did, hell, he threw a touchdown pass. He kind of stepped forward, moved to the left, and threw a touchdown pass on the south side of the stadium. But the biggest thing was the amount of pressure we could bring and yet still contain Williams.
Yes, and when we talked on that Tuesday, you were concerned about Caleb Williams, number 31, that he was just playing at a
Absolutely.
different level. Yeah, you saw it last year. And so I have to credit Al Golden because he saw something um, studying USC, because this was a critical game. I think we talked about it. It's like, okay, Notre Dame's coming off that loss to Louisville. They're 5-2. They can forget about the college football playoff. They have to win this game to stay in the hunt for a New Year's Six bowl. And this is a statement game for Notre Dame, and they played like it with their hair on fire. And USC hasn't really had the competition. This was their 7th game, and maybe the most difficult game was at Colorado, but not a. The back end's loaded. Now,
Oh,
after Notre Dame, you have home to Utah, at Cal, which is not going to be easy. Then you host Washington, you go to Oregon, and you end with UCLA with no bye. So now USC is going to have challenges. But you'd mentioned last week at Louisville, totally, you come out here, it's a totally different team. So credit Al Golden because he saw something. And I'm going to share this with you. I want to get your thoughts. I think he said, look, SC hasn't run the ball against these teams. They couldn't run it against Colorado or wouldn't run it against Colorado. And they didn't do it against Arizona. So maybe he said, you know what? They're not going to run the ball. We are going to sit back and we're going to attack Caleb Williams, and we are going to play him, keep him contained, and we're going to throw another DB or another safety linebacker to spy on him and create havoc um, in passing lanes. What are your thoughts on that?
well, yeah, you're right. You're right. I got to believe he just signaled out Williams and said, we're not going to let him beat us. And if you're not, so if you're not going to let him beat us, you stack your defense up to stop the quarterback. This is a very special quarterback, though, so you got to be a little careful not to let him be a runner and a passer. That's what I believe. That and the fact that the way the game played out with all the turnovers, you just can't win the game if you have 5 turnovers to 0. You're just playing too many short fields.
Yeah, and I don't think Notre Dame could have ever dreamt having the result that they did. But talk about that defensive line, that defensive front that Al Golden was rotating, and the damage that they did with 11 TFLs and 6 sacks. 1 sack, they nearly tore off Caleb Williams' head. They blew past Mason Murphy. He got blindsided. The ball came loose, and somehow on his way down, he recovered the ball with one hand. I couldn't believe it. Talk about this defensive front, Pat Pohlen.
The defensive front, just outstanding, and they'd every once in a while they'd supplement it with one of those linebackers, 27, just finding a gap and trying to keep Caleb right there in his sights. I would imagine after getting sacked 6 times and throwing 3 picks, he's probably had enough of this game. The last time I think it was a 4th down. And he was going to get sacked, and he just kind of chucked the ball. And you go behind him sideways, and you go, wow, he doesn't want to be out there anymore. And I, what the heck, the game was pretty much over. And it was kind of interesting when they brought out the SC offense the next time. The announcer, there's a new quarterback for the Trojans, and the kid just handed the ball off a few times, so they fumbled it.
Yeah, I had friends texting me like in the 2nd and 3rd quarter, put in Miller Moss. And I'm like, Miller Moss is going to get killed just like Caleb Williams. It's the offensive line. You need to step back and check yourself. You put any quarterback in there. I mean, Caleb Williams is the best quarterback. He's a generational quarterback. And if he can't get it done and he's throwing interceptions, you got to credit Notre Dame. And USC's game planning was not to par. One of the things Lincoln Riley talked about after the spring game is he called it situation mastery. And that last year was good. This year it needs to be great. And that was on Caleb Williams and the coaching staff. And let me tell you, Al Golden mastered Lincoln Riley. He figured out how to beat USC in South Bend. So they welcomed Lincoln Riley on his first trip to South Bend and told him, showed him what the tradition and the rivalry is all about at South Bend at night. And it wasn't a pleasant experience or visit for the Trojans.
Not for the Trojans, it was for the Irish.
Yeah.
I got a text from a guy in the halftime, 24-6. Does that remind you of anything? And I thought, 24-6. Does that remind me of anything? And I'm thinking to myself, you know what, though, when it was 24-6 in 74, you guys missed an extra point. You guys in this game had 2 field goals, and you shouldn't have got the second one because it was our defensive linemen who were celebrating another sack that were offsides and let you get that last kickoff before halftime. And in this game, we were getting the ball in the second half. You weren't.
That's right. So that's funny you mentioned 24-6 because the day after you so graciously came onto my show, we had J.K. McKay and his son Jeff McKay, and we talked about that 74 game and the 24-6 deficit. And he had mentioned J.K. McKay mentioned, sorry about that at halftime his dad just say, "Hey, somebody needs to make a play." And I was thinking the same thing. Okay, we're down 24-6. Somebody's going to need to make a play. And but Notre Dame was getting the ball in the second half, and this team, I don't know. I laughed at the score.
At that point, up 18, you're thinking, okay, that's pretty good. That's 3 touchdowns. I mean, that's 3 scores, and one of them has to be a 2-pointer. We're doing all the math in our head. And we get the ball, and we have a great play called on the first play of the second half, and we throw to the wrong guy. We go 3 and out. SC goes 3 and out. We go 3 and out. SC goes 3 and out. And I go, good. 7 minutes are off the clock. I don't care. Just let the clock run. Right. I have to say that was a tremendous play on Notre Dame's offense to hit when you guys closed it to 11, and then he hit the kid across the middle for the touchdown. And then you closed it to 11 again, and then we had to kick off return for a touchdown. And then I started feeling a little better. Now, I don't agree with our offensive coordinator or the coach when it was 4th and 1 there at the end of the game, and we could go up or burn the clock or make you take another timeout, whatever. But we kicked the field goal to go up by 21. I'm going, geez, what's the difference, 18 or 21? I mean, it's the same. You got 3 touchdowns, have to – But anyway, it worked out. That was the scoop and score on the next series.
Yeah. We got Pat Pohlen, former offensive lineman, Notre Dame, 1973 National Championship, joining us. If you like what you're hearing from Pat, the analysis, he was there at the game, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, hit a like, share it with your friends. You're only getting here on the LBC channel, Trojans Talk on Tap, hearing it from a former national champion that was at the game, giving his analysis. And Pat, I must tell you, I owe you a few beers. So whenever you're ready, that should
LBC,
be another incredible conversation.
It's a great rivalry.
It's a great rivalry. And you know what? Credit Notre Dame. They had the answer, as you'd mentioned, to basically everything that happened. When USC had some momentum, I mean, Caleb Williams, there was roughing or running into the kicker, so they extended the play. USC got the ball back. They went for it on 4th down. They got it. Then Caleb Williams scampers for a 38-yard touchdown, which we appear to be a touchdown, but it was holding on Emmanuel Pregnon, the offensive guard transfer from Wyoming, and that was just a blow, right? He's like, you gotta be kidding me. And then you get Chris Tyree was hit with a 49-yard TD on a busted coverage. So anytime USC was trying to come back, Notre Dame had an answer. You had a 70-yard pass, complete TD to Brendan Rice. I'm sure Jerry was probably at the game, hanging out with Joe, and and then you get a 99-yard kickoff return. So just when you thought, okay, it's getting to 11, it's getting close, maybe there's a chance with all these miscues, Notre Dame stepped up and had the answer. And hey,
I tell you
congratulations
what,
to the Irish.
the Irish faithful, when Caleb walked on that field, they didn't feel good until it was 21, and then it became 28, and then all of a sudden everybody was texting. But other than that, it was like, oh, keep holding your breath, boys, keep holding your breath.
Yeah. But when you get 3 interceptions, 2 fumbles, a scoop and score, a 99-yard kickoff return, USC with 9 penalties, and then Notre Dame with 11 TFLs and 6 sacks, there was false starts on basically every Trojan um, on that offensive line. It wasn't just one player; it's collectively issues and questions that have to be addressed for USC moving forward. What are the questions that Notre Dame has to answer moving forward as the Irish continue their season?
Well, the big thing is we got a week off here. And then I think we come back and we play Pitt, who just beat Louisville. You're going, holy mackerel. We got to play Pittsburgh, who just beat Louisville, who beat us. So as my son says, you know, that's going to be a 35-point loss, I guess. I said, I don't think so. But anyway, we got our issues. We got some good games coming up still. Pitt and Clemson on the schedule, but it was a good way to go into an off week with this win. I got to tell you, this is so funny. I'm with my 2 nephews and my son. We're up there, and everybody's going ballistic,
Uh-huh.
And when they go into the victory, kneel down formation, one of my nephews yells out, "Put in the 73 team."
That's great. Speaking of the 73 team, you texted me a picture of you and Robin Weber, and I thought that was very, very cool. Explain to our viewers who Robin Weber was, or I mean, is. In my opinion, he was Rudy before Rudy. So if you could
Well,
share with our viewers.
Robin had a halfway decent career until he kind of hurt his ankle and his neck. But his sophomore year, he was just a blocking tight end. Obviously, if you haven't caught a pass and you're in the 11th game of the year or 12th game of the year, you are not really in the offensive coordinator's scheme for catching passes. But in the Alabama game with time running out, and we needed a first down. Robin caught a 35 or 39-yard pass over his head, and that was the end of the game when he caught the ball in front of Bryant. And we got the first down and could run out the clock and basically win the national championship.
That's awesome. I'm glad that you got to get reunited and he was there with you. And thank you for sending that picture and sharing it. We'll close with this, Pat. As a former offensive lineman that played for Ara Parseghian on a national championship team, and you know what one looks like and the work that it takes. Technique is a major component of being a successful offensive lineman and group collectively. What do you see that USC is going to have to work on as they move forward to improve their offensive line play? What
They gotta get more balance in their running and their passing. If you just stand back there and pass, those defensive coordinators can scheme against you. But if you could run the ball, then you're wearing out the defense. Defense plays with more energy than the offense. I mean, the offensive lineman, all he has to do is block. When he releases his man, that guy's got to go full ball till the tackle's made. And you could just run. The only one on offense is putting in tons and tons of effort is usually the running back if you're running the ball. The offensive linemen just love to run the ball. I mean, that is like bread and butter. Give me the lead and give me the ball in the fourth quarter, and let's go run the ball down their throat. So if you can't run the ball, you're kind of stuck looking at things like interceptions, tip passes. Bad things can happen. I mean, I'm from the school of let's run that ball.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Pat, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for following up and joining us here on another edition of Trojans Talk on Tap to give us what you saw at Notre Dame. And congratulations on the 50th anniversary. And I'm going to have to get out there and take a few more golf lessons as I'm a little rusty. And I've got a couple tournaments coming up in November and December. So, Pat, thank you very much. Congrats to your Irish.
Thanks, LBC.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Have a great day. And for LBC's Craft Beer Recommend, thanks for tuning in to the new channel this week with LBC Trojan on Trojans Talk on Tap. Keeping in the spirit, we're going to go with the Long Beach beer. We're going to go with Beechwood Brewing 28 Haze Later Hazy IPA. A little story about Beechwood Brewing, which started in 2006 by Chef Gabe Gordon and his wife Lena. They really fostered the community in Seal Beach, and perhaps Trojans, you may have gone down to Main Street, and they had Beechwood barbecue, and they had great Carolina style barbecue. They were the hub for all craft beer aficionados back in the OC when there's very few craft breweries in Orange County and Los Angeles County. They went above and beyond Gabe Gordon source beers that you couldn't get. And in 2011, they added Julian Schrago as their brewmaster and part owner, and they opened up Beechwood Brewing in the LBC in Long Beach. And they later opened up a facility in Huntington Beach. And in 2015, they opened up the Blendery, where they are doing sour beers and Belgian-inspired beers. So always pushing the envelope. These guys are fantastic. It's a hazy IPA. It's 6.8% ABV with 3 different hops. It packs a punch with Mosaic, Citra, and Galaxy hops. Perfect on a hazy day here in SoCal. Upgrade your tailgate game. I've got a hot dog here, grilled. Pairs well. Oh, yeah. Perfect Southern California day. Go get you some hazy IPA from Beechwood Brewing. Tell them LBC sent you. And always fight on, Trojans.
Go Trojans go, LBC pouring cardinal and gold. The next man up is the next Heisman. Only bleed USC, yes we've been built to win. Catch roses while we ball all across the map. Too strong, fight on, it's Trojan Talk on Tap.